Okay, ready to go.
Okay. I think Debbie's coming here now. You're coming
Yeah,
over
I'm
now?
just gonna sit here because I was able to get it all in the video.
Alright, so am I okay here, or I
You're
prefer
fine.
to be out of it, so that's great.
You're already in it.
Dang it.
You're fine.
Alright.
Do we start with like something? This is what we're doing? Or?
Sure, yeah, let's do that.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
All right, we're planning new employee orientation for this school year 2015. So what we have in front of us is our orientation program from last year. And we also have all of the needs assessments that they've given us and things that they felt like that they could have used when they were new teachers, or when they were new teachers, exactly. There's also, what are these, the topics of the breakfasts?
Yeah, what we're after is the number 5 on the back, the grows. Those are the things that they wanted, that they didn't
know
feel like they
more
got.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Glows were the things that we did.
okay. So, I guess let's start with August and see, you know, which of the grows should we have done in August? Because it's just starting off the year based on their needs.
I'm thinking, looking at the list, aligning with PCG and the curriculum,
Okay.
making sure that they have a good feel for that. They did get a district training on how to get into PCG, but at this meeting they talked more about how to use the PCG more effectively.
And one of the things we did last year is we did that where they just paired with their mentor
Mm-hmm.
and did that. But I think that they might have gotten more out of it if we had had more of a presentation.
Like a presentation, yes.
And then they can elaborate more with their mentor, but that way because I know Edmodo was one of those same things, PCG, and then Skyward, like we let
all
them do
of
it with
those
their
things.
mentor, but
Mhm.
I think it was done to varying degrees, and then some
Right.
teachers felt like they didn't know.
Right,
Does
exactly.
the district do that too?
They did, but it was just kind of a brief. This is it. But giving them time to delve into it was more what they were after. And last year we got a scavenger hunt. That was the PCG scavenger hunt, and I thought maybe we could use that this year, something kind of fun. They could partner up, play with it. And definitely was thinking that when they meet with their mentors, giving them more direction as far as this is what you need to go over with them specifically for the content area.
And one of the things that's hard about planning this is we only, even though
For 3 hours.
we have them for only a half a day. They're at new teacher orientation with the district, and so it's like half a day to get them their keys, show them the room, meet your mentor. I mean, it's like
all of that, yeah.
And it's over. They're already on kind of overload.
Right. Some of these things, I was thinking that when we do our new employee breakfasts, we're going to do them 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
That some of these can be like little mini lesson type activities
Right.
during those breakfasts.
Like even maybe Skyward. Well, see, 3 weeks in is a little too late for grade. You would have already been doing
Been doing
attendance, already
grading.
been doing grades.
Now they'd also get Skyward training at the level. At the district level, we had talked about possibly bringing in Kim Boyd during the workday to do an open lab. So I was thinking maybe I could also talk to her about that same day doing a quick, let's get you into Skyward,
Yeah.
hands-on kind of for the new people or anybody that wants their memory to be refreshed.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Because, you know, they're going to be
The basics.
whatever they think they need. It's
Right.
just an open lab. Teachers are also going to be making their own website. We have a district website now, the same School Wires, that vendor. And so everybody will be changing their website. So that open lab will help anybody kind of just get ready for that.
Right.
Well, and then mentor people could also do that Skyward thing.
Yeah, they can help them with
One-on-one.
those.
Yes, and that was another thing. We just kind of let them go with their mentor and didn't give the mentors much. You know, these are the things you need to cover with them specifically, just because of time. But they just didn't have time.
Yeah.
We really need them at least a full day, but we only get them a half day, so we have to kind of make it work. That's the problem.
But we still also have them in that second week when
Right.
the teachers are back. I mean, there's
Well, yeah,
still
we do
things
have
that we
time
can-
there.
Like grading procedures, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know that one of the things that came up was that some of the new teachers didn't know. They're like our soft rules. They're not really, you know, for example, one was asking, can I do a participation grade? You can. It has to be, you know, you have to do it a certain way. You need to make sure it's not just everybody gets 100 for showing up. But there's some things you would want to do to make, you know, you can do a participation grade. So it's more like those kind of grading procedures, not 2 daily, 1 day. They know that.
Like, can they have a 69 on their report card? Those sorts of things. Homework grades.
Yeah, it's homework grades is another good one.
Okay.
Where's the bear?
On video.
Oh.
She's in the front with Zena.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So, I mean, Debbie, you're in the classroom. What other questions do you guys get from the new teachers as far as that kind of? Can they have 69s, participation grades, homework grades? Those little, those, like you said, those soft rules that aren't in the handbook. Those unwritten rules.
Pop quizzes came up as a question,
Okay.
which is perfectly fine. You can do a pop quiz.
That's fine.
Just
I think, well, we're gonna cover the ZAP program though.
Yeah, we'll
All
cover that.
together.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's always.
Yeah.
That's always we have to do it that way.
yeah.
Even if you've done it for 10 years,
Yeah,
you still
it
have to.
changes.
It changes every year.
And we're gonna do it again because
Yeah.
there's still kinks in the system.
Yeah.
So do you think those grading procedures should be done at NEO, or they should maybe be at the breakfast? Because I do kind of worry that it's just so much information that what they're focused on in that
Mhm.
is getting through that first week of school.
Right. I think we've already set the dates, and I specifically
that. Oh, these
set
are
the dates to hit before grading periods.
Yeah.
To talk about those types of things. And I also thought about this year maybe doing just to the new teachers kind of a, not a weekly, but even an every 3 week, just hey, did you know type thing for SMS. Kind of like a little mini newsletter something.
Okay.
Just with those little tidbits that come up
Yeah.
instead of waiting to the next meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Because we only meet quarterly.
right. And the grading things I think definitely need to be fresh right before progress report.
And we set one up that way.
We did. I did set
There's
it up.
one-
And there's one before final exams, semester 1 that way too, so that we can talk about final exams and all of those things that are coming up.
So maybe let's move, and I know these dates are last year's, but we know that there's one before progress reports. Let's move grading procedures down to there.
Okay.
Like, we're going to go over the basics, but there's going to be more detailed things like those questions that I think we could spend a little bit more time with that.
Right, and grade book reports, those sorts of things. Those would be before PR1.
So
But
maybe we should prioritize what do we definitely need to cover with them in the half day.
Right. I think the half day definitely curriculum is a big one. They need to be able to get in there and start planning.
Okay. So that's definitely something that needs to
That's
be.
definitely a priority.
Okay.
And I think Skyward Basics, because you hit Skyward running first day.
Okay.
If you don't know how to take attendance,
Yeah.
and you can sit in those trainings all day long unless you've got a keyboard in front of you.
You don't think that they will pick up on that in the orientation?
I mean, what they told me last year, it was a sit and get. It wasn't a, let's log onto a computer and let me show you where to go to do this.
Yeah.
That's where I
sometimes when you
thought-
see it, it looks easy, and then you go into it.
To do it, and it's like, where do I go again? And so I just thought maybe having Kim available for them sometime during that week
Okay.
to help them with that. I can kind of give her a list. The technology, where to check things out. They were asking, nobody really ever told them, where do I get?
And you think that's
That would be the beginning,
Beginning.
that first day, yeah. And I had on there that you would, who do you get? I had a who's who page. I just need to add on there the technology items. Where do I check out? If I want an iPad cart, where do I want? What do I do if I want this? Or if I want to set up a technology lesson, who do I talk to?
okay.
So I just need to tweak that
Okay.
and go over that a little bit more.
I do think they need that building and department tour. They
Mhm.
just need to kind of know their way around a little bit.
Agreed.
Just a quick one. I mean, so they need to take a little tour. and see their classroom.
Right.
I know what is on their mind is where's my room, where are my keys, what are we doing that first week, and then after that, I think that they kind of. I remember when 2 of our new teachers this year, like they focused so much on the first 2 days of school.
Right.
Then after that, they were like, okay, now we actually need, like, we're teaching. Like,
Now what? Well, yeah. Now what do I do?
what are we doing now? Because
Even the ZAP, the tardies, and the discipline, we're going to cover that in regular whole group.
Okay.
And then that might be another one that, right, because the kids really, we get that honeymoon period the first 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That we could even talk about, because they said they didn't really know how, and this was something that I had assumed that the department chair or whatever would go over with them, is how to do the signatures. They weren't real sure how that worked.
And what you signed for.
And what you signed for. So I thought that that could also go when we do the grading stuff. Like just a quick, this is how you do it, this is what you signed for. We have all of the documents that we've made in the past, and even though we're going to give it to them, we all know as a young teacher coming into a new campus, you give it all to me at the beginning, but unless you say, okay, remember when I gave you this?
Yeah.
Let's pull that back out and dig into that a little bit more. You know, that sort of thing. I do feel like we need to go over some of the basics of the handbook. I did that scavenger hunt last year. It was fun, but I don't know. They liked it, but I don't know if it really hit the highlights of what we wanted them to know, the work hours, the duty. I don't know. I don't know if it was worth the time that we spent on it.
Maybe not, because they're going to read it.
Right, exactly. I can just maybe give them a FAQ, kind of real quick things, where do I find the duty roster, winter tutorials.
I mean, the handbook's not that long.
It's not.
I mean, I really feel like they're going to read it. And so, and then when we get back into whole group the next week, we kind of go over those
key pieces,
changes, dress code, those kinds of things. So
Usually read it as you need it.
I don't think it's worth the time in a half day to.
I would rather spend time on PCG with them and then doing that.
Managing the paperwork and keeping up with that sounds the same, but I know that they got
bombarded with paperwork.
And I don't know if we specify what kind of paperwork they were struggling with. I think it's graded paper, sped folders. I mean, you tell me.
All of that. It's all of it.
It's the, I think it's special ed. If they need a system and how to organize that. I mean, I keep it in a binder.
Right.
I keep it there and refer to it, update it. But you get those, those accommodation sheets all year, and if you don't have a system to update it, use it, then
maybe their mentor. That could be something that I'll have their mentor or their department head or whoever's going to be their mentor person go over different ways people organize all of the paperwork, because there is a lot, and if it's just in a stack on your desk, or maybe just within their team, talking to all the little.
I know we talked about that last year, right, at one of the breakfasts.
We did talk about that, and
or was it something else? Like some people were saying that they do it by period.
Some people do it by period.
Kids, here are my secretary kids, like in a folder.
Right, but there has to be some sort of system. But I think with everybody's system is different. That's the problem. What works for you is that's why I felt like maybe that collaboration piece within their team, talking about, well, what works for you, what works for you, might be part of the things that when I meet with the department heads, these are the things the new teacher said. So this is how we want you to roll this out with them.
So when we say paperwork, I'm thinking of, like you said, SPED 504 ESL.
Well, they also said the amount of emails. And then that's when we did that Microsoft training.
We did a Outlook workshop with them. Okay, email.
And I liked doing that. I think we could do that as an optional thing. Get Kim to come out and do like a morning session before school one day or something. And I know we did that big communication training. Last year's teachers got it, but this year's new teachers won't have gotten it as far as the proactive communication. So I want that to be a training that they have to go to too, and Garrett and I will do that. Thinking within the first 6 weeks.
Okay, because I was going to say we're getting loaded here. If we add communication to this thing, that's a lot too.
And we can open it up that anybody's invited if they want to come. But, I mean, and it's only it was 45 minutes, I think we did it in.
And then, are we going to review that with everybody?
That's what I think we need to decide if, are we going to do that to that extent that we did, or, I mean, I guess it really depends on what we're doing in August with everybody.
I mean, it's something we may not, well, I don't think we need to spend that much time on it, but we do need to remind them that, the proactive communication is always best. Here are different ways. I know that, like 7th grade math, for an example, they didn't want to do the weekly newsletter to the parents. But at the end, when it was getting like, kids were not turning in things were not, the communication wasn't established. And so when it gets tough is when you can fall back on that, but they didn't have that to fall back on. So I know some of the teachers then were like, okay, then they started sending like a little Friday email to the parents. And then they saw a huge improvement, and I was thinking, I told y'all all along this would be hard.
It takes time on the front end.
But
it does. What y'all do is great.
Yeah,
it's
awesome. It takes time to get those master lists and to merge them into one parent.
But once you do it,
and then you can edit it, you can add.
Yeah.
Well, and this is kind of backtracking off our topic today, but we had talked about in climate committee that was something that as a campus they felt like we needed to make and we had kind of touched on, we hadn't really decided, make a decision that we're going to require this every 3 weeks or something like that, or weekly, to do some sort of newsletter or email out by department. So that's something we still need to revisit. Because if that's something that we're going to put in place.
By department or by grade? Because I feel like.
Right. It's whichever one.
You don't want to bombard them.
Yeah, I don't want them to get 4 different newsletters. It would ideally be, well, it doesn't have to be one, but I don't know.
Well, I do
like
know.
If everybody's going to email.
Right.
But don't have like parents have to go find it
someplace else.
One's on the website, one's on Edmodo, one emails, and
right.
Guess what? They're not going to read any of them.
Well, I do know in 7th grade, having worked with that group in math this year, 7th grade math was the only one that didn't send the Friday email, which is one of the things why the parents were so negative about math, because science did it, ELA did it, and so did social studies. So if 3 of the 4 are already doing it, you might as well say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So, because I know you guys do it.
Yeah.
And they love it. We tried not doing it when we were going full force with Edmodo, and we were finding that the kids weren't doing as well, and were turning in their homework, and I said, I'm just going to go back to doing it. And we'll still do Edmodo, but I don't think parents
And I think Edmodo is more about the kids knowing what's coming up. But
it's easy for me to pull an email up on my phone and say, you've got that project.
Yeah.
They emailed about it Friday. Where is it? That's instead of having to go log into Edmodo and.
Yeah, I agree.
I think on the user end, that's friendlier.
Yeah.
Because everybody's familiar with their emails.
So I mean,
so that's something we still need to talk about.
I mean, to me, I think there's 2 options there. There's or I guess 3 options. A once a week, every 2 weeks, or every 3 weeks. And beyond every 3, you're gonna not be able to communicate that far out. So 3 weeks is even getting kind of long. But
yeah, that'd be hard to project. Things change.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, the climate committee was all for it.
I know that they wanted something.
They wanted something, and they wanted it to be consistently enforced. Not this team does it, but this one doesn't, because look what happened in 7th grade. Math.
And it wasn't required.
Right.
But they felt at the end, I should have been doing this all along.
Right, and it put those teachers in a bad position in the eyes of the parents, and that's what climate's all about.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it happens on other grade levels as well, but so they just really felt like, as a team, that we needed something. This is the bare minimum you have to do. If you choose to do more, great.
Yeah, maybe we can say every week or 2. I'm okay if they don't do it every week. I'm okay.
Well, ELA, you plan your units out by several weeks.
Right.
So that would make sense if there's a paper and there's a test, and it just depends on what content area you're in.
So I think there's a little flex in the frequency, but I think that, and we're talking core.
Core
only.
Are we still going to turn in our lesson plans?
We need to do that, but we've got to do a better job at that. That one.
I'm thinking maybe if you pull something away and make them do this, you know, rather
It's
than.
a kind of a trade-off.
Yeah.
The thing with the lesson plans, they varied they just varied so much.
Yeah,
and
they
I
did.
didn't want to give a template and say, you've got to do it this way. But then it was too wide of a range. Like ELA, they can't do what they did last year. It was just a calendar with topics on it. It's like, that's not a lesson plan. That doesn't tell me
It's
what
a
you're
scope and sequence.
doing, what you're...
Mhm.
Yeah, they just didn't give any information. So when you go into the classroom, you're kind of like, well, I guess you're on topic because the whole week says persuasion.
Yeah.
Just needed a little more meat to it.
Right.
And then you look at some of maths, and it was like attachments in it and links. I mean, it was so detailed.
That's the right brain, left brain
Yeah.
of math and ELA.
They're just
Yes.
different. You're right.
It's so
Yes.
true.
Yep.
So we still need to make some of those type procedural decisions.
So that kind of needs to go in August.
Yeah.
Like with
But that needs to go with everybody.
that goes with everybody. So it needs to, okay, it can go in campus procedures, which is scheduled for Thursday, or it can go on Monday, which is campus updates, which includes ZAP, technology, handbook review.
Well, it would
that
make
kind of
sense to
stuff.
put it with handbook review because any changes that we make or clarifications that we need to put are going to go into that handbook.
Okay. What were we just talking about?
Lesson plan
Okay.
guidelines,
Uh-huh.
newsletters, or email blasts.
Okay.
And communication requirements we talked about.
We really, as much as we talked about the managed curriculum
The backward design, yeah.
and getting the grades in within 5 days, I mean, I felt like we stressed it a lot in August, but maybe we didn't touch on it enough throughout the year. And there were moments where it just got,
Bit us, yeah.
and it showed in our climate survey from parents who know that that's the rule,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not
Oh,
happening.
grades aren't coming in.
They weren't putting the grade, I know, there's a handful of unique circumstances that can happen, but I know of one particular situation where the grades didn't get put in until the Sunday night that they were due. And we just can't. So we are putting in things into place to check that. I think I've always been, I'll leave you alone, do your thing until you tell me I can't be that lax. And then now I gotta
Right.
put things into place to check that. And it's really to protect themselves. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So grading guidelines, I guess. is
Yeah,
what we
that's
could
grading
call it.
guidelines.
So that's going with everybody. So I don't know if we need to do that in it.
Right, because even the soft grade questions, those are always good. I mean, because it's come up over the last year or two
For
with all
everybody.
for everybody. Because with little things that were okay under one principal and not okay, those of us who have been here for more than 2 or 3 years, it starts to run together. About what we used to be able to do that, but we're not. And I think we addressed that through that FAQ that we did, the MythBuster thing,
Yeah.
but more of that.
More
Just
of that.
because I don't think we've ever talked about participation grades or 69s or homework or pop quizzes, and those things came up this
Yeah.
year, so we can just add those
And
in.
some of that is on the soft things for sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so right now the only thing I have big ticket items for the August 10th day are PCG and Skyward.
Okay. Technology checkout, toward the classroom,
Right. Who do I go to for what?
who for who,
Mm-hmm.
who for what, I guess.
Okay. And then I really want them to spend some time. Well, PDOS, they're not gonna have to worry about that because we're all getting T-tests. You don't have to do middle school conference.
True.
And then really want them meeting with their people.
So they were, I think all actually really 1, 2, and 3 were all related. Managing
Right.
the paperwork and then grading effectively. Like, how do you grade things effectively? Like, I know I'll use 7th grade as an example, 7th grade ELA. Tammy's advice to the new teachers is just take a period home a day. Don't lug all 100 papers home because you're not reading 100 essays that night. It's
Right.
not going to happen. So don't Don't make it seem bigger than it is. Take what you can manage, do that, then come back and then just.
I'm wondering if I couldn't.
But that's really departmental.
Kind of, yeah, really it is. But even I know there's stuff online about tips and tricks for grading and things, little things like that.
We trade and grade.
Yeah, trade and
If
grade.
you have time.
Right.
For the big stuff, you know, if they're doing a presentation in class, grade it while they do it.
One thing.
Performance versus handwritten. You know, let them answer something orally. Boom, check, you got it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Just kind of some tips and things, and I think we can probably generate something, and then maybe I could just send it home to a couple of teachers and say, hey, email it, say, what do y'all think about this? Or maybe even Abriel and Vicki and Jesse and them that were new.
So I'm thinking that this is really maybe departmental.
Yeah.
Because
everyone's different.
What you're managing with ELA is different. What you're managing with math, with social studies, with science.
6th and 8th is different. I mean, the 6th graders are all over the place.
There will be time for. Gosh, the schedule is so. There's not enough time, and a lot of our hours are district PD. So I can't steal that
We're
time.
piloting 2 different programs this year. It's going to eat up a lot of our time and training with y'all.
The T-test is 3 hours.
The
T-test is the new PDOS. It's in its 2nd year of piloting. So there were some campuses we as a district hasn't piloted, but in Texas some areas already piloted the 1st year. Now we're in the 2nd year, and eventually PDOS is done. But what that means is when you're on T-test is nobody's waived. Everybody has to, and it's more individualized. Set your goals, midpoint where you are at with your goals, ending how'd you do. So I like it better than PDOS in that regard.
It seems like it's more of a true growth tool.
Like, did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish?
Right.
Those
versus, exceeds satisfactory and below,
Yeah.
So that's going to take some time. And then the restorative discipline is the other pilot that we're doing.
So there's team planning time on Tuesday, an hour and a half. So that departmental stuff maybe could be covered there. And then there's another time when they're with their team. Where is that? 2 hours on Thursday.
Well, and we need some of that time, and I don't know if Garrett wrote that down. I think she did at one point, to do the study skills that needs to be team training. I've got the leads for each team that are going to go over what they decided was going to be the
on Monday morning.
Okay.
Study skills, but I didn't have.
That's what that is.
I wrote down grade level breakout.
Right. Well, Jesse and I are going to do the learning styles inventory because the climate committee felt like that was something that they could teach the kids, but they were saying everybody knows what it is, but they don't know how to teach it to the kids. So model that and then let them break out into their teams to say, hey, this is what we're going to do for study skills. Remember, we talked about this last year, and this is what we did.
Okay. That may be too much for Monday morning, though. Everybody's just coming back. Break out and start discussing strategies. That might be...
Well, okay. Wherever y'all want to move it. I haven't even seen that yet, but I know I need some time.
Okay.
I need 45 minutes or so. And we don't have to do the learning styles inventory. Really, the meat of it.
It doesn't take that long.
But if we're trying to train kids and teach them how to study, then they need to know their learning style.
Yeah.
Sure.
6th grade.
Sure.
For sure, 6th grade needs to know that.
And it's not that you can't learn the other ways, it's that you have a dominant strength.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what are some of the strategies under, if I'm a visual learner, what can I do?
Okay. I'm going to move that to Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
Where they have a little more.
We haven't even sat down and looked at how we want to do it yet. She's just on vacation.
And maybe a part of that study skills is kind of that managing.
That's what I was thinking.
You can tie that together.
That's the kind of what I was thinking.
Managing paperwork. Okay, so paperwork.
Kind of more of a team share type. What do you do? What do you do? But that time is dedicated to sharing those strategies with those new folks.
Okay, cool. Okay, I feel good about that. So that's check.
Okay.
Walkthroughs are shared. That's gonna change with T-test anyway, so check. Teaching strategies, reviewing for a test. What? Review test. Do you remember what we meant by that?
Oh, I think it came up, and this is something that I don't know, maybe again needs to be something that we talk about with departments. What constitutes a review for a test and what constitutes a study guide?
Yeah.
Because everybody was doing does something different, but every content area is so different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ELA, if you read and you understand the book, you should be fine.
Well,
Whereas history, you're going to have to really study.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of that study skills that we really need to teach the kids is how you study for math is different from how you study for social studies. It's a different kind of
Have
studying.
to do the problems to study for
In math,
yeah.
you need to do the problems. You need to practice. There's some repetition in there. You just have to do.
But also the question had come up about, and this comes up every year, about what's the best practice giving, and I think most of our teachers do this, but I think our new teachers need to hear that it's okay for them to give the parents the answers to the review, because some weren't doing that and they didn't know they could, that sort of thing.
Okay.
That taboo of, I don't want to give out the answers to the review, the majority of our teachers do, because if I want them to study it, I want them to study the right thing and the parents can help them with it.
Yeah.
So just kind of talking about that, and that again is something that we
And then the test shouldn't be just like the review.
right. Same skills.
Because they have to learn to study and apply, not regurgitate. And that's a skill they have to really develop.
Right.
Maybe in the beginning, there's more knowledge level memory type tests, but as you progress on in the year, it shouldn't look just like the review.
Right, exactly. So
That came up on a final exam in 6th grade ELA, where the final looked a lot like the review, and then a group of girls came to me and said, it's not really fair because the review's online. Like they Googled it.
Oh.
And the kids, I guess, all in their social media found out that all
Right.
the answers to the final exam are basically out there on the internet. And the first group who did it, who hadn't seen the test, didn't know that. And so we just have to be careful about getting, any resources we can access on the internet, so can the kids.
Right.
So be, use your resources wisely, I guess.
Well, we would post the answers to the review on Edmodo and tell them it's on there. You can check,
Yes,
to make sure you have them,
that's great.
you've completed it correctly.
So that's kind of one of those soft rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like people think it's a rule, but it's not a rule about sharing answers to the reviews. Cool, it's fine.
Adding it to the perfect. Okay, we did alignment and curriculum.
Okay, we did that.
Technology came up twice, but I think it was more. I know iStation came up about wanting iStation training early. And we had talked about wanting to do some different things with RTI. So.
Okay, but that's actually, I got
That's-
something from the district level.
Okay.
I do have to squeeze in RTI 1 hour. We need to train the staff, everybody, on RTI for about an hour. And I'm going to that training at the end of July, which is great because one of our stickies was RTI.
RTI, right there. We got to fix it.
We need to do better with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we determined, just from an administrative standpoint, as you're becoming an administrator, it's not that the pieces aren't in place, it's the follow through.
Yes.
That we need to do a better job as administrators and counselors on following through and checking back up with the kids and with you guys to see how the kids are doing and what do we need to adjust. And
I think one of those things that we had talked about was just when we say, okay, we'll meet back in 3 weeks.
go ahead and put it on the calendar.
Every kid's on a different schedule. So why don't we just establish the last week of a month we meet about RTI? We schedule those conferences in the last week of every month, so no matter where you are in the cycle, we don't lose you along the way.
Right.
Because that's I think is what's happening is we're not scheduling time for it. If you don't schedule time for it, it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So that's actually going to be on Tuesday afternoon. We're going to do some RTI. So that's, anyways, we were talking about technology. How did we get there?
Because we were talking about iStation and iStation.
Okay.
They wanted iStation training. So I guess we can see what the RTI entails, because iStation is really the tool that they use for their pre and their post with their goals.
And what I thought was interesting is so 2 years ago, when we first got the iPad cards, we spent a lot of our vertical teams on iPad activities and iPad things and making sure, you feel good about using the iPad. But the new teachers didn't get that,
Right.
and they kind of missed that.
That's true, and they did talk about that.
They were like, we don't, we have the iPad, but
Well,
we didn't go over it with them as much.
I think also that could be something, maybe once a month we do an optional training. A lot of schools offer that. Like, you can either become before school if you're interested in, like, in the Outlook training. If you're interested in iPad training, you can come in this date, this time. You'll get credit for it, and e-learning and all of that. The clicker things.
I don't even know how to use that.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and just start offering more of that for people that are interested. I think that's good. Things that we've done in the past
Yeah.
that we're not going to hash up as a campus again, but new people need it or somebody wants a refresher.
And we did one on Excel.
Yeah, we did the Excel. We did Outlook. We can do iPads.
We can do turnitin.com. I think, I don't know. Only ELA had the vertical team.
And these are things that we can also do in our vertical teams.
I know. So technology-wise, I love the idea of those little monthly optional.
You want to go. If you don't, great.
I'd like
but it's available for
the
you.
clickers, and then I think the e-beams. I don't know if we bought enough to really, but anyways, e-beams / smartboard. Maybe we should put those two together. So we bought some e-beams, which are pretty cool. It's like something that you attach to your whiteboard, and it has like a beam, and so basically your whiteboard can become like a smartboard. So you can, it's getting a smartboard, the functions of a smartboard, without having to worry about that big old thing, calibrating it.
Yeah.
There's,
it's antiquated
mounting
now.
it, this, that. So I think the e-beam is great, but we only bought
3,
5.
5. But if people start using them, and like them, we'll buy more.
Yeah, we hesitated on buying too many because it's still a new product. It's going to get better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of like, okay, we'll try it out. It's cheap in relation to a smartboard, but they still are $800 a piece. But the pen that you use is everything. If that pen walks out with a kid, it's like
you're done.
You need to buy a whole new. Like it's all guided with this. It looks like a dry erase. So, anyways. Okay, great.
Okay.
All
right. And then I'll work on getting some of these trainings and things calendared and scheduled.
Yeah.
And then that way we can get it on the Google Calendar, and when we send out the master calendar for the year, it's already on there and people know. So I'll get with Kim on that.
Computers in the computer lab, the headphones don't work, a lot of them, but this could be user error. So Donna and I spent the whole morning cleaning out the computer labs today, and they were just,
They were a mess.
it's a mess. And so we threw away bags of stuff. I mean, it's just things that the custodians won't throw away because they don't know what it is. It's like, like a teacher went in there and had, some extra
a stack
work.
of paper or whatever.
And there's like stacks of those everywhere, but they don't know what to do with that. So, anyways, I tossed them.
Can we ask the kids to have their own headphones?
We put it on the supply list, but not as a required item.
We can't. We couldn't require
We
it.
can't require it. Yeah.
I pushed for that. I felt like every kid should have a flash drive and earbuds, but they wouldn't. The district wouldn't let me put that as a required school supply. Even we can highly suggest it.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
They're not, and most of them have their earbuds.
Yeah.
So.
And I think most teachers tell the kids, bring your headphones or your earbuds or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Donna, Stephanie, Angelette, and I just said those headphones just have to be an annual purchase.
Yeah, because
every year we need to buy 90 of them because they don't last, and they just don't last. iStation training, that's really only ELA, or you're thinking that's...
Math uses it too. Think Through, well, really ELA the most, but I think they use Think Through Math as well. And I wrote Joyce's name next to that as a question mark. If we need it, I guess it's going to depend on what we get with this RTI training.
I think, well, and another thing we need to hold off on is TEA hasn't decided if they're going to renew iStation or Think Through Math. So right now it's on the fence. I asked Susan Bordakis about that. But anyways, iStation training to me is maybe a vertical team meeting.
I'm thinking so too.
And a lot of those iStation things that we did in advisory, the kids would give us feedback that they already did them.
Yeah. Did we do iStation and advisories? I didn't know that we did.
Yeah.
For,
ELA days.
for the ELA days. Yeah.
And what was the other thing? Oh, here's the other feedback about advisory and that stuff is math would say, have the kids turn in the worksheet or whatever. They wouldn't do anything with it.
I know. That's
So
the
then
same
the
complaint
kids-
in 7th grade.
Yeah, so then the kids are like, they don't ever collect it.
Yeah.
No, why should we do it?
Which is
So
strange because when I'm on the math team, they're like, oh yeah, we gotta definitely have it. And it's like, I don't know where we are in the middle of that. There's somewhere where.
there's got to be
There's a good-
accountability for some of that.
Yeah, absolutely, agreed. And I think we should, the spring that's a whole nother set of advisories. But I think in the fall, like we focused a lot on character ed because that's what the previous climate surveys kind of revealed we needed to do. But I think the study skills is what we're going to focus on in advisory.
I think we have to do our regular lessons for internet safety. But I think the way we did it, though, with the character ed lessons, we did most of it with whole group at lunches, just little mini.
No, they did an advisory that Joyce put together.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, at the beginning?
Yeah.
I still think they need those.
We still do need that because what's the number one thing that came up on the surveys again is bullying. And then I love the comments because kids are like, quit telling us about bullying, we know. But
And the climate committee had wanted to shift more of, let's not say this is bullying, let's focus on being kind. Random acts of respect. What is respectful behavior? What is a random acts of kindness, and pushing those types of things more positive proactive instead of reactive. Recognizing when kids are kind to each other, things like that.
And Debbie, I want to get your take on something. We're thinking of, so I liked the idea of the 04 challenge at the end of the year. I think it just kind of helped a little bit. And part of the things the climate committee came up with was just more frequent rewards and incentives for the kids who are doing what they're supposed to do. So we were thinking of the last Friday of every month running an activity schedule, and they can, if they've met the criteria yet to be defined, then they can basically go play for
That'd
that
be good.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
I think there's a trade-off because I know some teachers are getting concerned about, we do too many advisory days, too many activity days, and it takes away from instructional time. But I think it saves time
In the long run.
That's how I look
They
at
stay
it.
on task and turn their stuff in.
It's worth it,
And
the
there were-
45 minutes. I mean, it's really 5 minutes of
Behavior.
class.
Some
better.
kids, some of them there were kids that didn't get to go to the first one that I was shocked got to go to the second one. So it makes, even if it made a difference for one or two kids, maybe not the whole group, but there were a couple that they really wanted to be in that with their friends. So they made some changes that were positive, which was good. If it works for one, I think it's great.
Fun.
It's got to be something fun, and the kids that don't get to go shouldn't be fun. And I think there were some instances where they're still having fun, and I get it. It's the end of the year; you want to have fun with your kids. But it does negate that reward if you are letting them have a little party in your own room.
Right. Need to be a study room.
And it's hard for us to monitor that because we're monitoring the hundreds of kids at the event.
Yeah.
But that did come up. It came up.
Yeah.
Twice.
I mean, it could be, we could figure something out.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think it's a good trade-off of time. I think it's worth it. Okay. How to run different reports and blank charts in the gradebook.
That's
That was one of the.
Skyward.
That goes with the
Another
Skyward
Skyward.
paperwork. Yeah,
That's
and the
already
hand.
there.
That's what I was thinking.
Like seating charts?
Well, just all the different reports that are available to the teachers.
Okay.
And again, it's one of those things, they get it, but until you're in there
And you need it.
and you need it.
Yeah.
And the Skyward, maybe if Kim's in there on the work day helping them with all the stuff, but then maybe in a couple of weeks, that first training after school or whatever is Skyward reports and, getting, so that teachers can come in and say, oh, I need this. And then we're just going to have to, I'd like the teachers that go to get credit though in e-learnings, we're just going to have to set up more e-learning sessions, which is not that big a deal, but.
So I missed that. We're on the first NEO breakfast. We're going to add in Skyward different reports. Blank charts.
Actually, I would go with grading.
Yeah.
Grading reports. training procedures reports.
Okay.
And so I'll get Kim to come help us with that. And then the next one, I think we need to decide which ones we want to offer at NEO, just for them, and which ones do we want to do, like monthly verticals or after school trainings open to everybody.
I
was
think
thinking the second one could be the communication strategies.
This is November, but I think it's sooner
It's
than that.
sooner than
I already
that.
have them,
Yeah, you do. Okay, because I didn't remember.
and I have the vertical thing.
Yeah, we ended up meeting a lot more than just this.
So how many new teachers are we gonna have this coming?
1, 2, 3. 3 there. 4, 5, 6, 7 so far. That's new to campus.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same we do every year. We're growing.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna stop that video. 'Cause I think I got
Think you got what you need?
plenty.
Well, it's
What
good
do you
'cause
say?